Today is March the 18th, 2022. This is Speak On It. Rachel Current Team is the nonprofit. My name is Malik. Today is a very interesting day as it relates to the conversation and lack of understanding by some people of the good deeds of other people. Now, we just want to say a little something. Yesterday, which was Thursday, Reverend Dr. Willie Wilson, he didn't have a activity. He didn't have a big nothing. All he did was help people. Now, yes, some things occurred as it relates to traffic and congestion. But he didn't have that. That ain't what he did. What he did was to make available a resource that the government should be doing. You know, this Biden, you know, I struggled to try to be an elder. You know, under that other administration, don't tell me, I don't want to hear it. Gas did not go up, gas went down. And if you keep telling a lie that it's about something other than this administration, you got to be insane. And now Biden want to say it's because of the war in Ukraine. It's the Russians. Americans don't use that much Russian gas per se as it relates to what we are paying for. We don't. They said that themselves. Problem is this. They keep talking about how bad it is. And it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? If you're like me, you don't get stressed. Hell, it used to cost me $35 to fill up this Volvo. Now it's costing me over $70. I don't try to do it. I just put $50 in it, still half a tank or a 4-foot tank empty. Okay, so it is. But I'd be digging if I'm going to try to chase this pump. Can't. So Reverend Dr. Willie Wilson took the initiative and spent $200,000 for 10 service stations to offer free gas to the citizens. Now that sounds like a beautiful thing. But now you got these naysayers, particularly the damn politicians, particularly that one up in the 49th Ward. Now they want Willie Wilson to have to get a permit to do this, to do that. But yet, a whole lot of other things be happening. Maybe they have permits, maybe they don't. But this was not an activity. This was something that he did to help the public get through a crisis. Something that the government in Chicago will not do. He tried it with the mask, the mask. They wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't let him. He tried other things. They just won't let him. Now they want to say it's because the election is coming up and he must be maneuvering. Regardless of what's coming up, what's really up is that folks can't afford gas. And he was out there pumping gas and paying for gas. That in itself should be the conversation. And I salute him for that. And we're going to keep the commentary and just let you look and listen to the clips. Because the negative, you know, you can keep that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you don't want to give him an appointment. You don't want him to win. You just want to talk crazy about him doing what some of the other millionaires should be doing. Run this, brother.
Yeah, it's it's still pretty busy here as folks are coming to get their gas and get their car washes. Now, what happened earlier was they had actually, after that free gas was given away, they dropped the price. But now the price has gone back up. It doesn't seem to matter. Folks are trying to take advantage of whatever discount they can get. They waited for hours for Willie Wilson's free gas giveaway. Woodlawn resident Tanisha Scott heard about it on social media.
I've been out here since 5 o'clock this morning.
Please go to line number 1.
At the South Lawndale Mobile at 28th and Kedzie, hundreds of drivers lined up for blocks. It was one of 10 gas stations across Chicago participating in the effort by millionaire businessman and former mayoral candidate Willie Wilson.
Well, we gave money to help with gasoline. They can buy gas and continue to support their family.
Wilson donated $200,000 of his own money to cover $50 of fuel for about 4,000 vehicles at each designated gas station. Antonio Lagarza lives in the Pilsen neighborhood. He was almost on empty and is glad he wouldn't have to spend the $50 to fill it up.
Yes, a blessing. And I thank everybody that put their effort to help,
Despite the expressions of gratitude, Wilson's good deed quickly turned controversial after some drivers tried to pump premium gas and couldn't.
Yeah, I use 93.
Okay.
But it's okay.
And while some neighborhood residents complained about the traffic jams created by the giveaway, a few aldermen called the event disorganized.
But whenever you're doing good like this, you're always going to have a crowd of people.
As Wilson and supporters dismissed those concerns, organizers challenged others not to just complain, but help out as gas prices keep soaring.
We would like to have the oil companies, big oil companies, and the officials, state level, Cook County level, city of Chicago, to start thinking about lowering maybe the taxes.
And because the free gas was gone in just over 2 hours, the station dropped the price below average, vowing to keep it there until this afternoon.
I did call off work, but it was right on the brink.
Little consolation for some, but enough relief for others.
Hey, thank you to Willie. Thank you, I appreciate it.
They are very, very excited. Now, Willie Wilson says he is not done. He said he was very disappointed. Why? Because he said he didn't give enough money. So he's going to plan to do this again on the 31st of this month. Again, at 7 o'clock starting. And he says he's not only going to do the city, but now he's going to add the suburbs. So he says stay tuned. He'll be trying to help out folks who are having difficulty at the pump once again. Back to you guys.
Now, apparently next week, they said the 30th. Next week, he gonna give out $1 million worth of gas. 50 stations, Chicago, and the surrounding suburbs. Now, you could see in that clip that he didn't choose people, whether they was red, brown, black, or white. He was just trying to help people in the plight and the condition that we're in, and we got people that are elected, politicians, who don't seem to care, who seem to be clueless. But they can find fault in what he doing. Yeah, I had to go around traffic too. Yes, I did. I had to reroute. Yes, I did. But once I realized what was happening, it wasn't no major, just go reroute. Instead of you sorry behind aldermans coming up with something to assist, what do you want to do? You want to make it difficult for him to do it. You want to be in a position so you can tell him he can't do it. You know, that's the sadness. I really wish there was a position he could run for, maybe as a commissioner or something, and get elected. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, maybe one day if he keep running, he might become mayor. But because Negroes and others are so judgmental, they look for your faults when really there are not any. It's their own faults that they blame you for. This man been giving away money as long as I can remember here in the recent years. Now when I see him out at restaurants and at activities, he's just as humble. When I see him on TV doing his ministry and singing, you know, they say they gospel, but, you know, I think he would have made a great country western singer, and that ain't no diss. That's just the music be going. You know what I'm saying? And they be rocking it. And he keep giving. And then you got all these billionaire entertainers and no, people don't owe the public money. No one should give you money just because you ain't got it and they got it. They don't have to do that. Don't owe you that. But if somebody decide to do that, you know what I'm saying? Salute them for that. But there's a whole lot of big shots in Chicago that got big money. But I don't see nobody doing what Dr. Reverend Willie Wilson does. And a lot of people do things that the public don't know about and they don't get the publicity. To each their own. All right, brother, hit this other spot.
Gas tank up for free, but get ready because you're going to be waiting a little while. Joni is live with the latest on what's going on with all of that free gas. Hey, Joni.
Good morning. The free gas event is underway, and this is Jeanette. She's first in line, and that is Dr. Willie Wilson, who is filling her tank.
Oh my God!
How you doing?
You're meeting the man who's giving you free gas.
Wow. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, how's it going here?
Well, I'm pumping some gas, and we're going to be here. It's nice to be able to help. Yeah, just nice to be able to help.
You've seen the reaction and the lines that are all around all 10 gas stations today.
Yeah,
That must be gratifying and a little bit sad.
Well, I think that what happened is that people in such a need. Somebody got to stop talking and do something, you know? And so we're going to do it again. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. It's people in need, they can't get to work. You know, gasoline is high. This gasoline is so high, I can't even afford it my own self. You know?
Now you're giving away $200,000 worth of gas. You worked an agreement out with the owners who lowered the price so that you could get more cars in.
Yeah, well, first I wanted to thank Attorney Richard Boykin here who coordinated this for me with the station. All right, and then the gas station owners took lowered their prices as well, and that's helped a lot too. So instead of like $50 a car, and we get 4,000, so that'll probably add more to it. Yeah, and so I just think we got to take then help these communities. And the other thing what we did was take we didn't do just certain neighborhood. We put 10 stations around the whole city of Chicago. And so whether you poor, rich, medium, people struggling, you know? And so we want to make sure we cover all neighborhoods, so that's what we did. Yeah, so I think that I think that we're gonna have to do it again soon.
You've talked to some of the people. They've expressed their gratitude to you.
Yeah, we just got here. The rest of the places around the city is full. I don't know. I think you do things because there's a need. I've been poor all my life, except when I got into business. And they don't used to having money unless you help somebody else with, you know?
That's right. Dr. Willie Wilson, thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
It was fun to watch you fill up Jeanette's tank. She's over here. I just want to talk to Jeanette before you go away. Okay. You were in line since 1:30 this morning. Yes. You and your girlfriend kind of made an event out of it. What do you think of the reaction out here?
Oh, it's wild out here. It's nice.
Is this your neighborhood?
No, I live out west. I live on the west side, but not over this way, no.
But you heard about it and decided to get in line 5.5 hours early.
Yes. You didn't have nothing to do with it.
Now you're free gas.
Yes.
Jeanette, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. You saw the reaction in all the cars. So they have cars at every pump to try to move cars in as fast as they can. You know, we're at the corner of Sacramento and Van Buren. This line goes north on Sacramento all the way up to Jackson. It goes down Jackson all the way to Kedzie. And so it's not known whether everybody's going to be able to get gas, but the gas station owners tell me that it'll probably take about 3 hours and then they'll run out. However, the lowered price that they gave Dr. Willie Wilson is going to be all day long. So right here it's about regular says $4.39 a gallon. What a great price. So that's what's happening on the west side. We know this is happening all over the city as well. Now back to you.
Okay, Joni, great job out there. It looks like everyone's having a good time. Joni, I wish you could see the lines because it is unbelievable, as we saw in that previous shot from Air Fox. This is a little earlier, but what do you...
See, this is what Retro Quarantine is about. Trying to make people aware. Speak On It is about giving that type of exposure and opportunity for you to see and hear something you might have missed. And there's a lot that I missed because I don't have the technology and the high-tech things that a lot of people have. I'm just straight up, old school, basic. Thanks to the producer, Mari, and the people at CAN TV, I'm not as ancient as I used to be sitting up here with newspapers. But we've been able to do what we're doing, and this is good. Now the piece you're finna see is another part of why it's so important what Dr. Willie Wilson is doing. Now down in North Carolina and other places. But there's a piece here, North Carolina, where these people are out there
it's a crime
snatching
that's hard.
gas. And then there's another piece you will see, it appears, about something happening in Florida. Just watch this because it's all gas related, but you got a Democratic administration that don't seem to know what to do about these gas prices. So you got individual citizens doing it their way. Dr. Willie Wilson trying to take some of the pressure off the people by paying for it himself. Now you got some other ones, and many of them sound like they might even be illegal immigrants over here running scam and running game, and the president seemed to be clueless as what to do about this suffocating, drowning gas price pandemic. Throw this piece, brother.
Hard to spot. Crooks are illegally meddling with the parts inside fuel dispensers to steal gas.
They're changing the pulsator, which reads how many gallons and how many dollars that you're paying for the fuel.
So instead of paying hundreds, it only costs dollars to fill up. The thieves drive off with gas they didn't pay for, scamming the station out of money.
It changes the price but keeps the gallons the same, so they can change the amount that they're being charged down to a nickel a gallon or a penny a gallon, and they could pump 100 gallons.
Officials say this type of manipulation is a serious issue they want to put the brakes on.
We got a report that there were some individuals in one part of our state that was stealing gas.
Investigators with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services arrested 4 suspects last week for attempting to tamper with the gas pumps and steal fuel in Pasco and Polk counties. According to arrest paperwork, Rogelio Urena and Yulier Garcia Martinez were busted on March 12th while filling up a large gas tank in the back of a pickup at a gas station in Lakeland. The pair were seen illegally accessing the inside of the fuel pump. Garcia Martinez even had a homemade device in hand to manipulate the pulser.
This is illegal, and you'll be charged with a criminal offense if you are doing this.
Everyone in this group is charged with multiple felonies. Officials say they're cracking down on crimes at the pumps, trying to stay one step ahead of the criminals.
Anytime you have fuel theft, it's a major problem.
And officials say there are ways that you can lower your risk of fraud while fueling up. Make sure you park as close as you can to the attendant inside. Avoid using pumps that are open or if something looks off with that pump. And always report anything that looks suspicious. Chris?
Yeah, you got to think just like shoplifting, eventually, if this happens often enough, it's the law-abiding citizens who ultimately pay the price. Catherine Hawley live for us tonight in Tampa. Thanks, Catherine.
Now, the sadness is this. He right. It's the upright citizen, not the low down. The low down just get to do what they do. And the government saying, we can't do nothing. Ain't that a trip? Now this is amazing. People have figured out a way to get gas for a penny a gallon. Now, like I say, they just look like regular, people standing in line not trying to be citizens, but trying to get here. Because you don't have to be a citizen to benefit if you're from the places they from the American way. All you got to do is just be here. And then you come with your scam and there it is. You become rich. And people wondering why you driving them big old trucks and running around buying up property. Well, whether you buying it or not, getting property. And listening to the lying census. They're talking about the Negro is almost extinct because he had to leave Chicago because, hell, it wasn't safe. And then all the other people came in, and now you see what they're doing, don't you? Now, although that's in Florida, same thing here. And they ain't saying it because they, whatever they are with the last name. All I'm saying is, you know, you want to always punch your finger at why the Negro ain't. Well, some of the reasons why the Negro ain't is because the media make it seem like all the Negro is killing people and carjacking. That ain't true. That's a small percentage of low-down people doing that. But most of us ain't out there. Most of us are trying to be upright. Gotta say that. And most of those people are trying to be upright. But it's good to see that the media are beginning to show this thing and that the only people in America are not Negroes that's committing crimes. And that thing about stealing your gas that's damn near $10 a gallon and you getting it for a penny, you know what I'm saying? And you ain't gonna get into that. And you probably ain't even a damn citizen. Yeah, I am getting into that. You come here and you do you. I was forced here, my ancestors, and I can't even begin to do me. Can't find one black service station. There's, I think it might be black around, I'm going to say around 91st, not 91st, 97th and Kedzie, maybe. Out there past Evergreen Park. Every now and then I go up in there and look like the people working there is Negroes, so I'm assuming it seemed like they're handling money in a way that they might be the people that's handling it. But it's the only one I have seen got a Negro sitting there handling that money. What happened to him? All these other people came in and got him. But a lot of those people used tricks. They did. We ain't had nobody we could go get some startup money to use a trick with. Willie Wilson can't start up everybody. You know what I'm saying? But he helps. Doing what he can. He gave out the masks before the damn government would in some places. And then the government do what? Put blocks in his way. He giving gas and the government ain't even figured out even how to give you a break on the tax. If they just gave us a break on the tax, like they said, that 20%, all of them taxes on gas, if they just gave us a suspension on that for a minute, that $6 would become $5, $5 become $4. But Democrats ain't got enough damn sense to figure that out. Wasn't no $4 gas at the pumps I was going to before this administration. And now Willie Wilson got to supplement the citizenry because the government too busy sending $13 and $14 billion across the water to somebody else's war. And then saying that the war is the reason we having these gas prices. What a lying hypocrite. Go on with this other piece, brother. Some good news.
They're very, very happy with today's developments. The legal team, Ms. Waddell, Mr. Allen, Ms. Walker, and Mr. Lewis, and myself, were very elated about this. Let me make something clear. There is no room for politics in our court system, and our appellate courts in this great state do not play politics. Let me make something clear. When this case was initially re-indicted, when this case was prosecuted, when this case was sentenced, at each of those steps, I wondered to myself whether Chicago has seceded from the Union. Because in this country, you cannot punish a person twice. And while everyone was focused on the sensationalism surrounding this case, people were not focused on the constitutionality of the prosecution. And we've been trying to tell everyone that. It is unconstitutional to charge someone twice. Mr. Smollett paid a $10,000 fine. Let me repeat it again, because our appellate courts are listening. Paid a $10,000 fine and did community service. Now, there's no time machine to go back in time to undo those things. His $10,000 fine hasn't even been returned to him, right? And then you re-indict the case and you give him 30 months probation. for a class 4 felony with a man with no criminal record, felony record, 30 months probation, you give him 150 days in jail, you give him what else? You make him do restitution of $120,000, and then you give him the maximum fines. You know, and there's something wrong with that. We've been complaining about the disparate treatment of African Americans in the judicial system, regardless of what you think about this case. Some people might think Mr. Smollett is guilty. I disagree. We all disagree. But that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But the real question is, should black men be walked into jail for a class 4 felony? Shame on you if you think they should. That's a disgrace. It's wrong. We're talking about decarceration in this day and age. The Trump administration, the Obama administration, the Rauner administration in Illinois, and people are still trying to lock black men up, and it's a disgrace. Now, the judge's sentencing, couldn't disagree more with it. The judge spent a great deal of time chastising, berating my client. I've never seen that, and I thought it was unprofessional. That's my personal opinion. Not happy with that. And we look forward, now that this case is gone to the appellate court, to actually having finally an intellectual conversation about the constitutionality of this case. I'm not playing politics. That's all I'll say for now.
Oh, how's everybody doing? Sure. Shay Allen is S-H-A-Y, and it's no coincidence that we're here today. I think we're here because the appellate court realized this was the right thing to do. I hope everyone realizes that the persecution that went on in that courthouse was absurd, and that the sentence was a draconian sentence. It was excessive, and I've always called this case a class 4 murder. Apparently, this case was more important than the 20% clearance rate of the murders that are here in Chicago. Apparently, any citizen in Chicago, if they want to, if they don't like the decision that this duly elected official makes, can saunter into the courtroom and ask for a special prosecutor. I hope every citizen of Chicago realizes how important this case is, because this could be you. You may think, oh, that's ridiculous, I would never do these things that he's accused of. But you can definitely be charged for something you didn't do. You should never, ever be charged again for something that you had already been prosecuted for. It's important. Do not minimize it. It's not a joke. Thank you.
It should also not be minimized. Yes. Heather Widell, W-I-D-E-L-L. It should not be minimized, the issue of being tried in the court of public opinion and having to feel that you need to prove your own innocence. That goes against a major tenet of not just, obviously, Illinois, Cook County, but the United States judicial system. Mr. Smollett had to come into this courtroom 2.5 years after this incident occurred and felt that he needed to prove his own innocence. And again, that's patently unfair. That's not how the system works. It's not how the system should work. And the sentence that Judge Lynn doled out was completely devoid of any sort of intellectual curiosity or prowess. And I think, again, the appellate court, we're very, very much looking forward to having a non-political discourse with them that is intellectual, that's understanding of the laws, that are understanding of what Class 4 felonies mean, what the statutes are designed for by the legislature of this state. And again, moving forward, I hope that everyone understands, like Mr. Allen said, the very important nature of this case and the implications for every single citizen of this state and of this county, that anybody is capable of being charged with a crime, anybody is capable of being charged with a felony, and you are absolutely entitled to not say a word, you're absolutely entitled to speak in your own defense, and you're absolutely entitled to representation by attorneys. So we're very elated that Mr. Smollett is out, and the work is not finished at this point.
Yeah.
Hello, Tamara Walker, T-A-M-A-R-A. We are just pleased, we are overjoyed that the appellate court was able to cut through the politics, to cut through the smoke screen, and was able to understand that we have real, definitive issues for appeal. And that's why they made the decision that they made. This is a very serious issue that any American can lose their presumption of innocence should be an affront to us all. And you all saw during the sentencing how Judge Lynn took it upon himself to not only sentence our client, which is his right as a judge, but to character assassinate him. Let's not forget that the least act of a man is not the measure of a man. And we had letters of support from the NAACP who talked about the disparate treatment that black males receive in the criminal justice system. It is time to have that conversation. And we are elated that the appellate court is able to decipher the legal issues here and apply the correct standard. And we look forward to this process playing out. Thank you.
Questions? And then
All right, we can go on, Amara. Now, we took time to do that because we needed to do that. See, let's be clear. So many people were just saying, well, he should have gripped. He should have just kept his mouth quiet. He should have this, he should have that. The man said he didn't do it. If the man said he didn't do it, why should he grip? Why should he plead? Why should he say, I did it and I'm sorry, if he didn't do it? And you say you know he's an actor, now you want to say that he was, whatever. No, who knows? Maybe he was, I'm talking about in the court, when he was telling you that I am not suicidal. He was trying to be sure that you understood that if you got a headline saying that he was dead, he had been raped or whatever, that it wasn't because that's what he wanted. But you found something wrong with that, Negro. Stop being so hard on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Whether he did or not, don't matter. They found him guilty. But Kim Foxx had already dealt with that. He had already been punished. But then white folks say, oh, we ain't gonna honor who she is. We don't like the way she did it, so we're gonna get our own special prosecutor. Damn well, a retired Fed. Come on, y'all. Pay attention. And then you got a damn mayor that sit back running her mouth, but you's a lawyer. You know what's right and wrong. And you sitting here and you co-sign this. The other night you was so happy, like you done had some accountability and justice. And Eddie Johnson, he knew he should have kept his mouth shut. Not as relates to what they were saying needed to be investigated, but as it relates to how they were trying to damn this man. I mean, what the hell? Black women, black children, black men, old folk, all type of folk being killed. And ain't nobody never told nobody nothing. Ain't nobody never solved the cases for the most part. But then this situation, man, you took it as a personal assault on Chicago. Negro, you ain't done a DuSable. You ain't discovered nothing. You need to go discover yourself. And I'm glad that these 2 out of 3 appellate court judges did something better than the politics of these sorry politicians. Play this piece, bro.
Smollett. His brother Jojo joined us here on Good Day Chicago last week to talk about why Jussie needed to be released.
And Jojo is joining us once again this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. First of all, how is your brother and where is he right now?
Well, he's in the city of Chicago. He's doing well. We're really grateful, an abundance of gratitude, just a plethora of thankfulness to God. I'm really grateful. As we expressed before, really concerned about his wherewithal and his safety while there. Very mindful of the fact that while I still contend that he's completely innocent, this is a bit of justice that I'm grateful for, because I did not believe, even if you believe that the crime was committed, I did not believe that the incarceration was fair and just.
A lot of people agree with you on that front, Jojo. I want to ask you about something we played earlier from his attorney, who said that Jussie put his hands on the glass and he was clearly emotional. In your mind, do those emotions have anything to do with why your brother's not eating?
You know, I don't know. It's a very difficult situation for him. This whole ordeal has, to say it's been difficult would be a gross understatement. I know that he has been offered food. I don't know the details of why he hasn't eaten or what occurred, but I just think that this was probably one of the greatest reliefs he's ever experienced. to have been granted this, reprieve from the situation. He's not out of the woods legally. He still has a lengthy sentence as far as 30 months of probation. He also has a lot of restitution and fines to pay. But I'm really grateful for the system in working in the appellate court's decision. As a family, we're truly grateful and a lot of gratitude at this time.
I want to get your reaction and your family's reaction to the news last night. Were you shocked and surprised by this? Tell me what's been going on behind the scenes.
Oh my goodness, I was really grateful, really grateful. For the last 3 years, legally, a lot of things have not gone his way. And once again, even though I disagree with the conviction, I really thought that when we went to sentencing, I really thought, I was listening to a lot of the television, reports and a lot of the legal analysts, and a lot of them were considering jail time not very likely. He has no criminal history, and the nature of this crime is not even a felony in most states. So I was really surprised at the jail time that was given. Our entire family was, and I think a lot of people in the community were as well. But I can tell you, yesterday when I heard the news, I was just very, very thankful to God Almighty, and a lot of prayers and thanks for gratitude.
We've got less than 30 seconds. I'm just curious. He said he was not suicidal repeatedly in the courtroom. Some would argue he was invoking Jeffrey Epstein. We've heard that he has been kept in protective custody during his time in the jail. Would that be his wish going forward? Do you know? Have you talked about that, whether or not he's separated from everybody else?
I haven't had an opportunity to talk with the attorney about the actual, arrangement inside the jail. But yes, I do know anyone who loses their freedom and is sent into jail, it's probably one of the least safest environments you're going to encounter. So naturally, he's concerned for his own safety. I'm very concerned for his safety. We're all concerned for his safety. And once again, I mean, the fact that I don't believe he was guilty, and then the fact that even if you believe he was guilty, the imposition of jail time just seemed really, really harsh and unnecessary for the crime that was alleged to have been committed. So just really glad that he's out of that situation.
I want to ask you too, because there had been earlier reports that your family was receiving threats, and are you worried about your own family's safety, yours as well as your brother's?
Well, that's been an ongoing concern for the entire time, for more than 3 years. The fact that this was politicized and everybody just thinks they understand what we think politically. They just understand that, they just typecast us all in our understanding of the world and our views, and they put you in a box, and then, there's a mass media and social media attempt to just drown out all, responses from our side about anything we think or feel. And there have been a lot of concerning moments over the last 3 years, and this was just another one. This one was far more concerning because of the fact that he was actually in jail. And once again, jail, everyone who knows, who encounters the criminal justice system, jail and prison are some of the least safest places on earth, definitely in America.
We know he has a strong support system, and you're among them. So Jojo, again, thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me again, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, let me just say this. We spent time on that. Now we're going to give you another piece of time that you really should pay attention to as it relates to how things happen. Now you got this dude, the Judge Lynn. Now I just want you to pay attention to this.
So are we.
Here. Okay, I'm gonna hold the commentary. Do this, brother Amari.
Rob, the man who made a mark by judging Jussie is one of Cook County's longest-serving jurists. James Lynn is what's known as an associate judge. He sits in a courtroom at 26th in California. He hears criminal cases, and he is elected, but not by the people. The voters who elect associate judges in Cook County are other judges.
Wheels of justice turn slowly, and sometimes the hammer of justice has to fall.
When Judge Lynn hammered Jussie Smollett with jail time, it was just a quirk of the courthouse selection process that Lynn was holding the hammer at all. The first judge picked at random in 2020 was out ill. So was the second. Lynn happened to be healthy that day. When he sentenced Smollett for lying about having faked a hate crime, Lynn discounted Smollett's good works.
You have another side of you that is profoundly arrogant and selfish and narcissistic.
I think he did what judges should do. You basically knew what his thoughts were. He explained, what he thought about the case and his reasoning for the particular sentence that he chose. And he followed the law.
Dan Lockello became a Cook County judge about the same time as Lynn and is now retired.
To me, I always thought that sentencing was the toughest part of the job, because when you're a judge and you sentence somebody, you not only affect that individual, but you also affect members of his family. In a murder case, and when you sentence somebody to, let's say, 30 years for murder, that's 30 years that his family's not going to see him, outside those prison walls. So, it's a tough part of the job, but it has to be done.
Voters elect circuit judges to 6-year terms. Every 4 years, associate judges such as James Lynn have to be reappointed by those elected circuit judges, and he's been appointed 8 times.
He has clearly had the support of his colleagues in the past. The vast majority of associate judges are retained, and also the decision is made by circuit court judges on a secret ballot. So how any individual circuit judge has voted whether to retain him or not will not publicly be known.
Social media comments tonight concerning Judge Lynn. Some people say they want to vote for him in the next election because of what he said to Smollett. Others saying they want Lynn defeated for the Smollett case. Lynn's current term ends in 2023, and if he stands for reappointment, as we said, it will be by other judges, not by the public. And about half of all criminal court judges in Cook County are selected this way in a blind vote by other judges. Rob?
That's why I salute. Yeah, I'm gonna be redundant. That's why I salute Chicago Access. The opportunity for us to be able to get information out to people that they might not have, or they might. But now, here's a person that his partners appointed. They selected him. So they say, you go do what we don't want to do. We'll get elected, but we're going to still make you the hit man. Now he's sitting there looking like a hippie. Long hair, da-da-da-da-da. One person even said on another piece I saw that, he was basically a liberal and this and that. You look at him, you think he's a good white man because that's how he looked. Hair like that. You don't think he'd be like the dude that was talking to Edelman that looked straight up like what he looked like. But Lynn, they say he's very whatever, progressive, I guess. No, he ain't.
1/3 of the nation's.
No, he ain't no more progressive than the rest of those. But the point is, he ain't even elected by the public. He's selected by some other judges. You see what I'm saying? But then he sit there and act like he was selected by God and that he was God, and that's how they do it. And a lot of folks go to jail every day, not by somebody that was elected as a judge, but by somebody that their partners just said, yeah, we're going to make you our hit man. Negroes, pay attention. Now, he running around big shot. And I guess that's why the appellate process is good, because they was able to overrule somebody that wasn't elected. Somebody that just actually is being in that judge role because somebody else wasn't available that was supposed to be in it. See? So stop thinking that all of these creatures you see got something special. No, they just been what? Entitled. That's all. That's how it is. He's entitled. So he get it because he's entitled. And why is he entitled? Because he's so-called what you call a white man. See? And they got you going around talking about inclusion. And all you get is exclusion. Got you going around talking about diversity. And all you do is divide. Think. Got you talking about black and brown. And you both, black and brown. Yellow. Tan. Honey. You all of that. But you hate all of that within your own group. But you want to embrace some other ones they call brown. So now we running around in the census with its stupid self. Black folk, undercounted. So-called brown folk, undercounted. But that's because of Santos, who's the director of the census. How in the hell are you going to undercount some illegal people? They shouldn't even been considered to be counted. Shouldn't even been here because of their status. But now you want to use them, yeah, I'm going to say it, you want to use them to take away some slots that some Negroes got because you are greedy. The Negroes that got those slots represented areas. Talking about the other one. But because the system is so unfair to Negroes in Chicago, they won't provide safety, they won't provide jobs, they won't provide educational opportunity, and on and on and on, and treat you like you ain't nothing but a Jim Crow clown. So people leave. But didn't them many leave. They was undercounted. You just didn't count them. And because you didn't count them, you make them think that 250,000 of them ran out of town. You's a lie, they didn't. They didn't. But it was a play. So you can talk about black folk, red folks, yellow folks, white folk, and I guess some polka dot folk too, huh? You got to get out of that. That color thing, that's giving everybody too much game to play with. But the only one who's really getting snatched and slammed is the Negro, who don't even know what he is. African American, Afro American, colored, people of color, black. Put it down, y'all, put it down. Because you see what Lynn do? He ain't elected by nobody. But when you saw those Hispanics that was in line with Willie Wilson, they would say, hey, Willie, I bet if Willie Wilson ran for something, those people would say, he okay. They wouldn't be looking at color. They'd be looking at the good deed that he did. Most folks want to look at the good deed we do. Not the color, but the media and the Negro leader that want to bow down to the so-called master, they want to let it happen. They just keep protorizing this so-called race thing. And that's the problem. Hit this other piece, brother. We finna speed up. We finna get out of here.
Historically black colleges and universities, shorthand HBCUs, have recently received violent bomb threats. And here in our area, that includes Texas Southern University and Prairie View A&M University.
Yeah, Vice President Kamala Harris announcing grants and resources that would be awarded to impacted campuses. ABC 13 reporter Roxy Bustamante joining us now live from TSU with more on what is expected moving forward. Roxy.
Yeah, Mary Young, the chief of police here at TSU, has been pushing for this funding for a while now and says this is exactly what universities that are being targeted are in need of. Now, Young, along with other chief of police from different campuses across the country, will be meeting with the FBI to see what exactly this funding could look like for each campus.
One threat against one HBCU is a threat to all HBCUs.
Historically black colleges and universities known as HBCUs have been under attack. This year alone, at least 36 HBCUs, including Texas Southern University and Prairie View A&M University, have been the targets of bomb threats, according to the FBI. Mary Young, chief of police at TSU, has taken on the role as a liaison for campuses across the country.
It's sad because it shouldn't take this. It shouldn't take a bomb threat to realize that we need resources. It shouldn't take a threat toward our students getting an education to realize that we're underfunded. It shouldn't take a threat for anybody to realize that equality means equal.
They want to target and intimidate this community, and that's why this is our highest priority.
The FBI answering questions surrounding the investigations into these threats in a hearing Thursday morning, along with the Department of Education and HBCU students, to see what more the federal government can do to help those impacted. For now, institutions that have received bomb threats are eligible to apply for a federal grant and may be awarded between $50,000 to $150,000, according to the White House. Mary Young says TSU will be applying.
We will not silence our voices. We want to make certain that our students are heard, that to know that they're safe.
Now, if you drive around Texas Southern University or you're here on campus, you will see that there is a police presence. Now, Mary Young says that they could have more equipment and more staff. That's what they're hoping when they apply for this grant, and if they are awarded this grant, that funding will go towards, of course, coming up at 6. We'll tell you more on exactly the logistics and what's next for the university. Reporting live, Roxy Bustamante, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
2022. And now black colleges are being threatened with bombs. You know, I mean, it's amazing. And yet you think you made progress? Come on, y'all. Then you got black children in grammar schools being forced to eat out of garbage cans in separate areas in public schools by white folk. Progress? Then you got other little black kids being sold online, on Zoom, or whatever system they using, being threatened, being hung, play acting by little white kids. And you say you made progress? Man, come on, y'all. That ain't progress. You running around here thinking everything cool? Man, they reversing everything that your ancestors fought for and died for, was lynched for. Matter of fact, talking about lynch, run this piece, Brother Amara. Because some of these folks, they think something changed.
Hallelujah. We are just here trying to bring justice to the extent that we can, but also to start a dialogue.
Inside Floral Park Cemetery, dozens of people crowd around the newest headstone in the ground, draping pink carnations on top of the stone, set in place to honor a man killed in Indianapolis, lynched 1 century ago.
In 1922, George Tompkins did not receive justice, neither in life nor in death.
George Tompkins was found hanging in the woods at Cold Spring and Lafayette Roads, March 16, 1922. His hands tied behind his back. He was only 19 years old. The county coroner said at the time the man could not have hanged himself. But when Tompkins' death certificate was finalized, the cause listed read suicide, not homicide.
We will bring justice to something that was unconscionable to me.
Now, 100 years later, Marion County Deputy Chief Coroner Alfie McGinty has with her a new death certificate, now listing Tompkins' death for what it was, murder.
We are proud to be a part of this history some 100 years later, and we will remember George Tompkins.
Karen Christensen with the Indiana Remembrance Coalition, the group helping give Tompkins justice all these years later, says by finally acknowledging what happened to Tompkins, they're hopeful they can help the community move forward on a larger path to justice together.
It might look a little differently, but things like this happen today. And if we don't understand what our history is about, we will repeat it, and we are repeating it. And therefore, we want to talk about this so that we can stop racial violence. City, hallelujah.
Well, just a little something. Retro current. Retro current. Where's the change? All right, brother. Talk about this piece here.
Privacy is important to you?
You and your pot, your cannabis, your marijuana, your weed. Now what's happening? The money is drying up, going up in smoke. You strolled down on it maybe, Amara, because I did.
Dropped significantly this year in Illinois. The state says sales topped $137 million in December. but only $114 million in February. One expert says high prices may have people turning to the illegal drug market. The expert links high prices to a lack of supply and limited retailers.
Now, one of the things that's interesting about that is because a couple of weeks ago, there was a situation where some of those spots got hit. People were breaking into them, like they breaking into those stores, snatch and grab. So, I mean, politicians, didn't you know that sooner or later? I mean, you got to understand. You ran out there and you snatched the money away from the so-called entrepreneur, people that you was giving 40 and 50 and 60 life sentences to in the past, in the other places. And then you snatched that money and made your millions. And now you're coming back to reality. But think about the damage you've done. And now how the government, the politicians, allowed something you said was illegal to become legal for you. And now, I don't know what happened to all of these Negroes that were talking about they was not included. I mean, okay, whoever got your license, Negroes, don't you think y'all need to be making some fuss about, letting folks know y'all got your license, where your business is? Don't hear nothing. No. We want to know how many of you all, which of you all actually are in business selling dope out of a dispensary. And how much money you making compared to the white folk that you were talking about, who did do a bogus thing, took all of the money and had a head start. But now if you in the game, let us know. Or have you cut some under the table deal? And there it is. Next piece, brother, let's roll.
Right around the corner. So it feels like the right time to check in on some of the campaign promises President Biden made on the campaign trail. One of those pledges was support to try to decriminalize cannabis on the federal level. But legislation that could do that by, for example, expunging records for possession or getting nonviolent weed offenders out of prison has stalled. In the meantime, you've got entrepreneurs in states where cannabis is legal, like Damian Marley, the Grammy-winning reggae star, trying to bring more attention to the impact that criminalization has on their communities.
Halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, a prison is finding an unlikely second act. Behind the barbed wire, a new cannabis company, growing the very thing some people end up locked up for in the first place.
As Jamaicans, as a Rasta, as my father's son, we've always been advocates of cannabis. It's something we use daily in our life. It's a part of our spiritual sacrament.
That's Damian Marley, reggae star and son of Bob Marley, and a partner at Evidence, a cannabis brand that grows their products on the grounds of the Claremont Custody Center. They say the prison can help remind people that even while the legal cannabis industry keeps growing, it's still illegal in most states, with more than 350,000 people arrested for marijuana-related violations in the U.S. in 2020, according to the FBI.
We have replaced those inmates with 8 acres and a full-scale cannabis manufacturing facility. And we bag it in evidence bags, the same type of bags you would see in a courtroom. It really is a conversation starter.
They donate a portion of every purchase to the Last Prisoner Project, a nonprofit dedicated to helping nonviolent cannabis offenders get out of prison and have their records expunged.
But a lot of our family members get taken away from us for various reasons, especially a lot of our male figures and our fathers and brothers and such forth, you know what I mean? But definitely with the fact that cannabis is now legal, we want our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated to come home.
For head grower Kyle Walton, the mission is personal. He says he ended up behind bars himself when he was younger several times because of cannabis possession.
Kind of just put into perspective how easy it is to go to jail for something that I think is normal. If I would have made a couple different choices, I probably could have very likely been in jail for weed for a long time.
Companies like Evidence could become more common. 18 states have now officially legalized recreational cannabis, and some of them, like New York, are including social equity programs in the legislation. New York plans on giving half its licenses to applicants from historically marginalized communities.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Green Thumb Industries, one of the biggest cannabis companies in the U.S., bought its own prison in Warwick, New York, investing $150 million into a cultivation facility.
We are here celebrating the beginning of our construction project where we are going to build a marijuana campus in Warwick, New York at the site of the former federal prison. In Warwick, New York at the site of the former federal prison.
Green Thumb, hoping to be one of the first companies in New York to hire former
Woman for the industry, for New York, and really for the country, where we take a place like this that used to lock people up for marijuana, and now we're going to employ them gainfully to lock people up for marijuana, and now we're going to employ them gainfully, and that's amazing, and that's great.
Our Jordan Winters, the year. There's one study from 2017 that found less than 5% of legal cannabis business owners are black. We're talking more about the future of the legal cannabis industry tomorrow. I will take you along to a tea party I had the pleasure of attending in California, where they take the tradition of high tea.
All right, then, Omar, we go on to the next one.
I did not
partake.
Now, tune in tomorrow.
Interesting, huh? And I'm not going to say a lot on it because it speaks for itself, but I am going to say this. You know, that was a situation, and Brother Omari and other people here can have seen some things because they try to guide me in trying not to be too, I ain't going to use the word radical, but to be more middle line, I say. But sometimes I have to say this. You know, we were doing some things in conjunction with some people out there in the community, trying to make people aware of opioids and heroin and fentanyl and marijuana and all of that. And we was making progress. Matter of fact, you know, somebody had instructed me, man, do this, do what you're doing down there at Cable. We really like that, da-da-da-da-da. And then some white folk, apparently, from what I'm told, said, no, what he doing is advertising. Did you see any advertising there? Huh? Did you see anything in there other than making people aware? Did you see anything in there other than trying to educate people? So they said the state, you know, because they got money out here, we thought we were going to try to get some. They said, well, the state said they can't pay for advertising. See? And the damn politician, he saying, well, do this, that. But he act like he don't know the difference between advertising and making people aware either. Now, look at the piece you're finna see next. Now, that's about the marijuana, the cannabis. The same cannabis that the young person in Russia who's now have been put off until May before she go back to court, the basketball player, for having vaping equipment while she was there. Well, cannabis and marijuana. See the trouble it's getting folks in? Now, look at this other part of what we was doing. And what I'm saying is this, connect the dots. Me and Omari and them been doing this here for the last few years. Now, see the connection between what you just saw, what we used to do, what's all over the place, and what the woman in Springfield and other folks say they thought it was good. But then when the time came and little white folk told a little black dude that look at here, woo woo, you see? But we keep doing it. Why? Because we're retrocurrent and we speak on it. And I don't give a damn whether you like what I said or not. Go sit down and shut up. Because what we doing is educating people for the trick. Now they're growing it in prisons. We always knew that. But luckily they got a black operation. We ran the piece about what the man was doing, where they was taking ex-offenders and letting them become entrepreneurs with this. We told you that. Now show this piece about the opioids and whatever else we got, because we're going to end with that type of information. All of this is about making people aware of the substance that they say we advertising when we do it, and the state can't fund
overdose
that.
Case
You
in
liars.
South Florida. Authorities arrested 21-year-old Axel Giovanni Casillas, the suspect now linked to selling fentanyl-laced cocaine to several spring breakers, including 5 West Point cadets. Earlier this week, officials responded to reports of a medical emergency where they found 6 people who overdosed on fentanyl, 4 of them in cardiac arrest in the front yard of their vacation rental home. The other 2 needing medical attention just from trying to help.
2 of their friends began doing CPR, and they were exposed from the direct contact of the fentanyl.
First responders rushed the students to area hospitals, and tonight at least 2 are still under medical care. This comes as crowds begin packing Florida hotspots for spring break. Officials there now fearing there could be more dangers on the horizon.
If there's a bad batch, it's normally not isolated just to one buyer. It brings great concern that there could be other ODs over the next couple of days.
The CDC warns that many people may be unaware that their drugs are laced with fentanyl.
In high doses, what it will do will slow down your breathing, or in extreme circumstances, stop breathing altogether.
Health experts warn that any substance bought on the street can be lined with fentanyl, and it can be impossible to spot.
This isn't just an opioid crisis, this is a fentanyl overdose crisis. People are dying from fentanyl overdose more than any other opioid in America right now.
West Point says the incident with its cadets is currently under investigation. Another sobering reminder tonight about the opioid epidemic and the dangers it brings, stretching into spring break. Kathy Park, NBC News.
Now, you know, this is important information. It is. And thanks to CAN TV, we're able to provide it to you. A lot of people don't see it otherwise. But if it come on cable in the Chicago area, if they want to, they can see it. It's just like being at a school, just like being at a seminar. But we bring it to your house, in your room. You understand? That's what this is about. Speak on It, Retro Current Team, is about educating folk, teaching, empowering people, advocating, mentoring. Next piece, brother. You might have to stroll down a little bit on this piece here about the opioid piece, but that'll be it for today after we do this.
Aware their country is in an opioid crisis.
The opioid crisis is an emergency.
The relapse rates after that are almost 100%.
What most people don't know is that for opioid addicts, there's a widely agreed upon treatment option that could be saving many more lives. And many rehab facilities don't offer it. This week on Moving Upstream, we're looking at what that treatment solution is for opioid addiction and why so few facilities offer it.
Whenever I get depressed, I go into a low peak where I won't talk. I'll sleep most of the time, and I'll just like hide myself. Like I'll go into my room and just not talk to anybody, go near anybody or anything like that.
That's another thing of addiction, but we're not going to worry about that today. We're on a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, you have all of it built up and stored in your body, and we're going to begin to let that out.
Let's start with Hannah Goldsberry, who lives in rural southern Colorado. A few months ago, she survived her 4th heroin overdose.
If it wasn't for my friend finding me and calling them, I would have probably let that book.
Had your heart stopped?
Yes.
Your heart had stopped as well.
Yeah, and they had oxygen on me and everything. That was
Amari,
my final
you can bypass this. Just the one I'm looking for says opioid overdose are higher among blacks. Apparently that piece has been superseded by that piece there. It should have been the last piece. Yeah, that one there, last piece I sent you. Yeah, if you roll down a little, yeah, that piece. Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad we could all take.
Okay, apparently, somehow or another, that is not
Most Americans are well aware.
I don't know, I guess some way or another, that piece as relates to the black population and the other population is not available, it appears, to be played, and instead they playing something else. So it is what it is, but don't nobody have to tell us that opioids are killing more of us than it is other people, and we know that. And the thing that we have to do, I think, as a colony, striving to have community, is begin to get as much information as we can and begin to see that our relatives and others are at risk, and to try to guide them and assist them into other alternatives. Now, a lot of money has been spent as it relates to opioids, and now that addiction is called a disease versus just a habit for dope fiends. So now they done cleaned it up. And now that they cleaned it up, let's try to be included in the cleanup. Now, I know we still excluded because I see people every day, damn near, that's strung out on something with fentanyl in it. And it's doing them real bad. And we're going to just keep taking opportunities whenever we can find something that we can get to come through that will help you become more aware. Those of you that looks at cable. Cable is not that high-tech social media new generation piece, but it seems to be a situation that there are still quite a few people that look at cable, and we're trying to provide information to that population because a lot of those people are people like me, senior citizens, and other people that might not be on social media. So you need to have that type of exposure in your bedroom, in your living room, in your kitchen, so you can save yourself and others. Until next week, a lot for you. Peace and good health. Thank you, Amara. Appreciate it.